Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help you ignite the CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quade, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quade has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for executive coaches to become licensed circle directors and earn annual recurring six-figure revenues. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of support, accountability, and challenge. If you'd like to learn more, go to quadecircle.com. I'm super pumped about our show today. We've got Chad Ackerman, who, among other things, is the founder and CEO of CARE, which is Chad Ackerman Real Estate out of Dublin, Ohio. Chad, welcome to the show. I appreciate you.
Matt, thank you very much for having me on. I'm really excited to have the conversation today.
Very cool. Well, hey, man, in your career and in a lot of the things that you do, you've had the chance to witness just a ton of different leaders. If you had to pick one thing that stands out that separates really good leaders from average or even poor leaders, where would you start with that?
That's a great question. I think from my own personal standpoint of how I like to lead, I'm cut from that cloth of I like to surround myself with solid people. I'm more of a community driven person of I feel like I can make a lot better decisions and guide my ship a lot better with feedback from a lot of other people. I'm a data collector.
Yeah.
So I'm big about surrounding myself with people that can help me pressure test, think through things that I'm not maybe thinking through, come up with a better answer than I come up with by myself. I'm not that. I got to be a self-made man. I got to do this
Yeah.
all on my own. I am a bigger believer in I can do better by having a community of people around me helping me than trying to do it on my own and be more efficient, be
Yeah.
faster about it too.
You know, I love that, and I agree with that, and have lived that. That's not necessarily natural, right? Like,
I think you're right, honestly. Yeah. I'm a high I if you do a disc
oh yeah,
profile. I think it's the I coming through of me rather than a D to get me up to this level kind of thing.
yeah, and well, and I think when you start talking to CEOs and entrepreneurs and business owners and whatever, you know, they always feel like they have to be on and they have to be the one that knows everything and all that.
Yeah.
As you've evolved in your leadership, where where you've taken that group component and that group thought piece, have you always done that, or was that an
I
evolution?
I think it was an evolution. I think it occurred to me. I grew up in the HR field. That's
Okay.
what I came
Yeah.
out of.
Yep.
And I saw year in, year out these, internal surveys, company engagement models and so forth. But I saw studies about how the more engaged your workforce was, the more effective, productive they were, and so
Hmm.
forth. And that led me to buy into the idea of as a leader, if I was open and took feedback and, baked that into my decision making, that fostered engagement in many cases, which led to better productivity. People wanting to be a part of that company, wanting to be a part of what you were building, seeing your vision and trying to help get to that. So I think it all came from that experience of being in HR and seeing all the engagement studies that I went through and buying into engagement more than anything out of this and saying, well, if I can get my company engaged with me, we're all going to do better than I would do by myself. So that led to, well, be open, be transparent, be vulnerable, even as a leader,
Hmm.
to take that feedback from people and make a better product because of it.
Yeah, and not only that, and this also will play into your people focus is people. Then they continue to develop and they continue to grow and they continue to fight for something that's bigger than themselves,
Yeah.
and that just starts to embed in the culture of the company that you're leading.
Exactly. Exactly. When I first got hired at kind of my main career job, my first career job, the VP that hired me said, I don't want to see you here in 2 years. And it took me back. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm a Gen Xer. I was still going into the career world as I'm going to do 35 years at this company, and retire with a nice pension and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, okay, you want me gone in 2 years? And I was of a curious nature. I always just started asking questions then
Uh-huh.
more like, well, why? Explain to me why. She's like, you've got skills, you've got motivation. You need to do that. Don't sit and wait for it to come to you. Go out and get it. And you're going to get it by taking action. Get up out of your seat, go do things. And I bought into that early on and it served me well.
So talk about that. I mean, that's powerful, and
Mhm.
what a great leader you had there to do that. If you look back over your career at somebody like that, but I'm sure you had other mentors who shared some things with you. Can you think back and identify some specific mentors or things that you, I call them pocketed experiences, that you see things in action and you're like, oh, I need to remember that when I'm in that situation. But hey, can you think back to specific things that stood out from either a mentor or things that you've observed that helped shape you as a leader?
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm a firm believer in you are the product of the 5 closest people you're surrounded by.
Hmm.
And I strategically, I didn't sever friendships, but I strategically looked for business or career focused friendships, mentors, whatever label you want to call it,
Hmm.
falling into that logic of I need to surround myself with people that are ahead of me or that can really steer me rather than having the people that I've grown up with that are like, whoa, why are you doing that? Is that really going to work out? Why are you taking that risk kind of thing? So I was big about that kind of process. The one thing that I would say, the situation that rings through to me of how that worked out for me, not necessarily related to my leadership development, but I got into investing in real estate, got passionate about it, and didn't know what direction to go. There's a lot of shiny objects in this
Hmm.
space. I was attending a local meetup, and the one of the founders got up and talked at the last kind of one I went to of these, talked about how he left his W-2 because he invested passively in real estate and he was able to build enough passive income to quit his W-2 job. And he spent the hour talking about all the things he did wrong, all the mistakes he made.
Yeah.
And I raised my hand in the Q&A and I said, "Well, tell me how long from when you thought this was a viable thing to when you left your W-2? What was that timeline? What did it take?" He's like, "Oh, I think it took about 5 years." I said, "Okay, you just told us all the things you did wrong. I want to meet you. I want to learn from your mistakes and I want to do it in 3 years." And I did meet him. He and I started a business together. And
Wow.
I did leave my W-2 3.5 years later. So I was 6 months off from what my goal was, but
Huh.
I still felt good that I was able to accomplish what I did. And I did it through that mentorship, through that, tying into somebody that was a few steps ahead of me. And they made mistakes. They were public about it. And I learned from those to not make those same mistakes. I think that bleeds through in any situation. Mine is very specific towards investing and so forth, but I think it could feed into leadership skills development as well.
No, that's awesome. So I'm gonna pitch my latest book idea that I've written about 7 in my head, but it ties into what you say because I believe everything you said very passionately. So I believe that everybody in their lives, and this evolves, have allies, advisors, and advocates.
Mhm. I like
Allies
that.
are like situated people. So, think about when you first graduate college and you're all going through the same thing and you're in your first W-2 job and, all this kind of stuff. And you're cheering each other on. You don't have any experience. So you're really just cheerleaders for each other. It
Yeah.
not just friends, but friends and
Well,
and every idea is a good idea.
and you're finding your way through life, right? You're in
Yep.
your young 20, you're becoming an
Yep.
adult on your own, trying to figure it out. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yep.
That
So
makes
there's
sense.
one. And so
Mhm.
then as you continue to grow, and this can be both in your profession and in your personal lives, but then you have these advisors, and advisors are pretty much like mentors. So these are people that have been experienced. They see something in you and they push you a little bit, right? They're not just yes people like your allies. They are,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good, but have you thought about this? Or have you
Yeah.
thought about this or whatever? And that's good, but it's those mentors still, or advisors still, don't get you to that next full level of where you're going to be. It's until you find the advocates, and those are people that are where you want to be, like the person
Mhm.
that you just talked about,
Mhm.
who is
Mhm.
already at that where you want to be, and they see something in you and they start talking about you in rooms that you're not in, and all of a sudden these opportunities are coming about. So
Yeah,
I would love
that's great.
your thoughts on that, because that's again, that's book number 7 in my head, nothing on paper yet.
I think you better get that one written is what it is. I think that one's very solid. No, I feel like if I look back, that's absolutely the journey that I've been on throughout my career. It took a while to realize you needed the advocates.
Hmm.
The alliances, those are there. That's just natural. You're
Yep.
surrounded by them because of the steps you took.
Yep.
The advisors, I think that you seek them out as you're going. I think I had to learn to seek them out. I think
Yes.
the best skill that somebody taught me, and it was the same hiring manager that told me to be gone in 2 years. She taught me networking. She taught me get out. I was, entry level, manager level at
Hmm.
a corporate. It was Fortune 15 company, it's a big company. And she taught me get up out of your seat, go meet people. And as I met, and I come back and tell her who I was meeting with, she's like, okay, you need to keep going up levels. Don't be afraid to go
Hmm.
up to, get to C suite, because they said, if you want your name to be thought of when strategy conversations are going on, you need to get up to a high enough level that they're going to be in those strategy discussions and so forth. I'm like, that's great. And C suite people love to mentor people.
Yep.
It's 15 minutes, it's once a quarter, whatever,
Yeah.
but they enjoy that break of their day, I think, to just
Yeah.
go give advice to people. But then the last, the advocate, that's made more change in my life than any of the others by any means. But it took that journey. I had
Hmm.
to get comfortable with those other two. So I think you're spot on. I think that's a great book.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've been thinking about it for a long time, but you're right. You have to know how to do that. And what's interesting is, in this world of remote work, virtual
Mhm.
work, some of those things become more challenging, right? You have to
Mhm.
be super intentional. Whereas, if you're in the same office building, for example, and you can just walk into the break room, or there's
Yeah.
a natural, let's go grab lunch, or let's go grab a beer after work, or whatever, those opportunities for interaction happen more frequently and more easily. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know, you obviously do a lot of investment in real estate work, so you're going to see the effects of virtual work and so forth. But, would love your thoughts on that intentionality of how to get out in front of those advisors and advocates.
The only difference I feel in all of what you just said, I agree with you from where I sit as a Gen Xer. I feel like these next generations, especially my kids' age,
Yep.
I think they're going to be so adapted to Zoom and that social connection
Hmm.
to find. My daughter tracks in um she's studying abroad right now. She's about to return. She's been in Italy for 4 months. She had tracked somebody that was in architecture. She's studying architecture, that was based out of France. While she was in Europe, she was intentional about finding them on a trip to Paris and connecting with them in person, because they'd done a lot of connections online and so forth.
Wow.
So I almost feel like the next generations are going to be a lot better at, because in a way, the remote structure, in a way, it kind of makes it easier to have those connections too, because you can schedule, okay, today I'm doing mentoring as a C
Yeah.
suite. I'm going to schedule 4 in a row and, stagger them 15 minutes apart or something like that. And I can bang them out, rather than I got to meet you at coffee. Then I got to meet you in the lunchroom. Then I got to meet you in the conference room, whatever. So I think there's pros and cons to it, put it
Yeah.
that way. That I think this younger generation is going to be more, as long as they have that network bug. Now, there's a question about that, if that's
Yep.
there. I see it in my daughter. She's got it, which I
Yeah.
love to see it out of her already. I don't know if that's prevalent necessarily, but
Yeah.
I think they could take advantage of that remote structure and do it better than we did if
Yeah.
they apply it right.
Well, no, that's right. And I do keep coming back to that word, intentional. As long as you're
Yeah. Yeah.
intentional, that's going to drive everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. exactly.
I think we got to figure out if how is intentionality coachable,
Mm,
right? Or is it innate? Or how do you
that's a good
develop it?
question.
Something along those lines.
That's a good question.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother podcast, I think.
Yeah. And a book, probably.
And book. Well, man, like I said, we try to keep these things to 15 or 20 minutes. We're starting to get to that time. Let me ask you one more question. If you
Sure.
think back to 20-year-old Chad, what have you learned through today that you would have liked him to know uh, that as he was getting out to the real world?
That's a great question. Yeah, I feel like my biggest advice is take more risks. Be more
Mm,
open to risk. I didn't pivot my career until I was in my mid to late 40s. And I have enjoyed the heck out of pivoting that career and finding better flexibility, freedom for myself.
mhm,
That's what I try to coach my kids on now is say, be open, at least be aware, be looking all the time for that opportunity that leads to something that gives you the flexibility and the freedom that might be just the thing you were looking for at the end of the day. I was too, and again, I think it's a generational X
mhm.
kind of thing. I was just career blinders of, climb the ladder,
Yep.
pay your dues, do this kind of thing that I didn't look outside of the box for a long time and wish I would have. But I'm glad to be where I am now. So I'll
Yeah.
take what I can get.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I really appreciate that and resemble that. Very, very similar pathways that you and I have shared. So yeah, love that. I think what's funny is, um, when you think back to 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, that's the best time to take a risk because you've got
It's
nothing,
true. Yes.
right? You've got nothing
It's
really to
easy. It's
risk.
an easy fall. You aren't very high right there. So you're
Well,
exactly right. You're
m-
exactly right.
man, Chad, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking time and sharing great insights. And I just had a blast talking with you. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Mark. I enjoyed the conversation as well. This could go on for 45 minutes easy, I'm sure. So,
Easy, easy. Yeah. And think if we added a beer to it,
yeah,
we'd be together for
exactly.
hours. So,
Exactly.
all right, my friend. Well, hey, folks, we have done it again. We have unleashed a bunch of more leadership nuggets. Really appreciate Chad. As a reminder, Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quaid, which is a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has created Launchpad, which provides an exciting opportunity for executive coaches to become licensed circle directors and earn annual recurring six-figure revenues while putting in only about 60 hours per year per circle. To find out more, go to quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.